we can talk about fingers, but we have to start with the building block of the stroke, which is the wrist. Now, when your right hand looked good and you were using some wrist, but you're opening and closing your hand. So this is why I'm talking about this, because I would like to. What happens? So this is your full range of motion. If I extend my fingers, look what happens. Right? I don't need to turn my wrist completely up to get my full range of motion. I don't have to turn my wrist to get my full range of motion because my fingers are extended a little bit. You understand? And if I do, I get past my high point. And so I really don't want to extend my fingers. I want to make the stick an extension of my arm. Suspended in my hand because I don't want to muffle it. Right? I want to stay relaxed. So I want to keep the grip open. But I want to use the whole hand on the stroke. Not. Okay. And that's what I saw you do to some degree. So try that.
Say hi.
Hello. Yeah, just do it again. Now let me give you the feeling. I'm going to touch you, okay? You want space in here. Of course, it's gonna, I mean, this is the perfect world. So it's gonna close up sometime when you're playing. It's okay, but we try to concentrate on keeping the space. I like the American grip because it keeps all the weight of the hand over the stick, so you get all of the power. Doesn't mean you can't play with French grip when you're playing soft. But we're talking about full strokes, so we want to stay with the weight behind the stick. And I want loosen up. Come on, get the wrist loose. And I want to throw it from here. And it has to be that loose. You just throw it down and it pulls your pin. Try it again. But start from the top. Nice. Now each stroke is separated and you can focus on the complete stroke. The more you focus on the stroke, the more you'll be able to touch. That's good. You already got it. You have to make it second nature though, so you don't have to think about it. Otherwise you're not going to use it when you're playing.
Right.
That comes from practice.
See, the only way that's not going to interject in your playing immediately, it's just while you're working on it right now, eventually it will, if you go approach the drum set when you're playing like that, it will go into your playing, and you'll notice a big time difference.
Now let's see the left hand again. Yeah, I
still feel like I'm using
Let me
more
see your left hand. I
finger.
want to see what you do with your left hand.
Left. Wait, sorry.
Right, I see. Get to the top. There you go. Good. It's fine. Not quite as good as the right, but that's because you're righty. That's right. So I have the same issue. It's okay. How's that feel?
Feels alright. Like I still feel like I use my fingers more. Like
I just showed it to you.
That's from JP. That's from you gripping, pulling the stick all the time like that.
Yeah, put your hand on my wrist. On top of it.
Sorry.
Feel that pop in the wrist?
Yeah.
Even down here. You think I'm using my fingers? Put your hand on my wrist. I'm using my wrist. I could use my fingers.
And I think that's going
I
back.
could use my fingers, but I'm using my wrist.
I think that's going back to what you were talking about, like working everything separately. You know how you said working on finger technique, working on wrist, like and like your arms. You were talking about like instead of working with the main foundation.
Well, yeah, I want to develop your wrist because if you use your fingers and use your arms, you're not using your wrist.
And I think that now that I understand this a little bit more, I would use my like finger technique, just like working on each finger, I guess, to play faster, and then using some of the
Okay, so let's talk about speed. Speed
So I didn't mean to cut you off, but like I would just practice like literally like this, then move over and go back and forth.
Well, this is what I believe.
Mhm.
They say to use the fingers for speed because it uses less muscles, right? That's the thinking. And maybe you can tell me whether I'm right or not, but I don't think that's true. I don't think that's where our speed comes from. That's where our endurance comes from. The speed comes from our nervous system, being able to trigger the nervous system. Okay? And we all have the same nervous system. And I think the capability of our nervous system is what? How many twitches per second?
Yeah, muscle fiber.
Yeah, that's a lot, right? That's pretty damn fast. So that's our potential. If we can manage to trigger our nervous system that quickly. So the speed is not coming from your muscles. So using your fingers is not going to help you with your speed. Relaxing is going to help you with your speed. And the fingers are not any faster than the wrist. What the fingers do is they use less energy, which means it's an endurance issue, not a speed issue. So if you want to play 3 strokes in a row or 4 strokes in a row, your wrist will get tired faster because it's using more muscles. So if you assist your wrist with your fingers, not to replace it, because the fingers don't have the control or power that your wrist has, you know. So if you would add, instead of replacing with the fingers, I add the fingers to it. I take some of the responsibility of the endurance away from the wrist, so that my wrist doesn't get tired.
Right.
And the faster I have to play, the more endurance I have to do, the more fingers I need to use. So if I'm doing a double bounce, I use a little bit of fingers. It depends on the speed. Slowly, I don't use any fingers, no matter how many bounces I'm doing, because my endurance threshold is low enough. When I get to a certain speed, I'm going to hit that endurance threshold. I'm going to run out of gas.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to cut down the how much I'm using the bigger muscles and go to the small. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
He's a therapist. So,
So yeah,
So that's a professional opinion that what I'm saying is correct. So the concept of using your fingers for speed is not true. You know, and I don't practice my fingers isolated like that. I mean, you can.
and that's that I used to do it. I mean, I don't do it that much now,
Mhm.
but I would think like, all right, I need to get super crazy fast, for crazy tempos. I would just sit there and go, and then just go each finger, pinky, and just go over.
Yeah,
and
but
over.
if you're playing fast, if you're playing like a fast ride pattern, like
Using a
over
lot of
and
fingers,
over,
yeah.
that'll keep you from getting tired.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But because you spent the time on your fingers, you didn't spend the time on your wrists, which really is more important.
Right. So now.
Because 80%